Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome once again to Walk with Garrett. Now today, we're very fortunate. We are in the Quabbin Reservoir, and today we are visiting Hanks Meadow. You can see right off to our right, the Hanks Meadow parking area where all of our cars are parked. And we are going to be taking the left side Hanks Trail. To walk us through this big open field, we're gonna hopefully see some interesting little flowers and stuff, maybe some bugs, and even if we're lucky, maybe some birds. We got some grapevine growing out of the ground there. That's super cool to see. And you can identify grapevines by their big, broad, almost shield-shaped leaves and the fact that they grow on vines. You can see it right here. You just get a beautiful open view of this field, no matter when you come here. I love walking through here, and I walk through this field quite a bit when I have the free time. You get to see a nice dense growth of pine trees off to our right, and if you look closely, you can actually see a lot more of that grapevine that we were talking about that has climbed up these trees and has made it almost all the way to the top. You can see right on that pine tree some of the grapevine hanging off of it. You can see some bluegrass growing in the ground down there. Not to be confused with the type of music, although they are named the same thing. Oh, there's a little bird taking off. Looked like a dove to me, though it is very hard to tell from tail feathers. There he is. I would guess mourning dove or cowbird, based on the looks that I got of it. We are once again incredibly fortunate to be able to just have access to so much of this amazing natural place to be able to wander through as we like. You can see some of the pine trees branches that have been taken down by the forestry services here, the forest managers. Now they cut down some parts of the tree or sometimes entire trees in order to keep the entire ecosystem healthy. So they remove some of the lower branches so that the upper branches could get more energy and the tree can grow better. And because of that, all the trees can grow better. Coming up to a first little throughway that basically will take you from the upper meadow down into the lower meadow here. We get a really cool little stone wall. And sometimes, if you're lucky and you're quiet coming up to it, you can see all kinds of little creatures that make their home in the stone wall. Lots of spiders, snakes, little rodents like chipmunks and field mice all love to make their houses inside of those really protected, sturdy stones. You can see in this lower valley, this lower field, there seems to be a little bit higher vegetation, taller plants, that means. So it seems like this area might have been cut less or is allowed to grow more. Or it could also mean that there's different species present, which you can definitely look around and see that there are some new species. Some that were present in the upper field. You can see those daisies right there. More of that grapevine out in the distance. Some little maple sproutlings pretty much everywhere. Oh, look, the pretty little baby's breath flowers. Those little white flowers. Now we come up to one of the coolest parts of this trail, in my opinion. This is the part that really makes it almost look like a storybook. You have an arch into a forest passageway that's dimly lit. Let's see what the magic holds. Now, when you get down here, it is a little uneven, so we have to watch our step, but it really does feel like you're walking through the enchanted forest. You can listen to all of those birds. And you can also see that the plants down here have dramatically changed. You can see off to our right, we have a lot of ferns and we have a lot of skunk cabbage. Now, skunk cabbage and ferns, when they're together, usually mean that you're pretty darn close to the water. So, if we walk a little bit more down here and take this corner right here, we can see one of the tributaries that flows directly into the Quabbin Reservoir. And if we step out over here, we get a really cool view out into the Quabbin. Now, if we're super careful, you can step across and you can continue walking over that way, but we're not going to do that right now. And now, from where we are right here at the tributary's entrance to the Quabbin, we're going to turn right back around, and rather than going left on the trail that we took before, we're going to take a right, and we're going to keep walking a little bit. You can see some markings on the tree there that let us know that we're on the right trail. And it appears that we're on Dan's trail. You look right here, you can see a sign, points us this way. So that's the way we're going to go. And a beautiful grove of pine trees here. They're growing all around us. And this is all pine, and you can tell because you see these leftover needles. And pine trees don't actually have leaves. They have, well, they do have leaves. These are their leaves. Their leaves are just needles. Now, since we see that there's 5 of them in a grouping, we know that these are white pine trees. White pines are one of the more common pine types in New England. We also get a lot of pitcher pines, which are identified by their 3 needles, and we get Douglas firs, which have smaller needles and are more bunched together. A Douglas fir is what you would get for a Christmas tree, usually. Now, Dan's trail is super cool because it's super quiet to walk down as well. We have all of these pine needles making a bed on the floor, which makes us super quiet, which means we're a lot more likely to see wildlife. Now we can see that it looks like we've ended up on the other end of Hank's Meadow. And if we come right out into this clearing, we in fact have. You could continue on this way, up and around to get back to where we started, or you could turn right around and go straight down the opposite trail, and this will walk you right down towards the water, it looks like. So let's see what we can get for a view here. Oh yeah. So it's a little obstructed by the trees, but it's definitely a super cool location. I would absolutely recommend taking Dan's trail if you get the opportunity. There's another small trail that will link up with this one from the opposite side. It is a little bit more overgrown though, so we don't necessarily want to take that one. We do, however, want to do a little bit more exploration down this trail because it looks rather cool. Now again, we see our yellow dot to the side of this tree, and that means we're on the right trail, or that we're on a trail. Oh, this is cool. Looks like we're coming up to another small tributary. And tributary just means a smaller stream that flows into a larger body of water. Could be a little brook, like the one that you see in front of us, flowing into the Quabbin Reservoir, like you see. Or it could be a small stream flowing into a much larger river. Both of those would be considered tributaries. Now, we're going to very carefully cross this water here. Make it to the other side. Now it's beginning to get a little more overgrown over here, so we'll take it as far as we can. But remember, the most important thing whenever you're walking out in the woods is always your safety. Crossing another tributary. Lots of skunk cabbage in this area. Make sure you don't step on that, or you're going to be in for a very smelly, smelly day. They don't call it skunk cabbage for nothing. See some beautiful lichen growing on this tree here. And let's see. Looks like this trail is going to pay us off with a nice view of the Quabbin. Oh yeah. You get some cool views already. Now, the path definitely becomes more difficult as we continue down this trail. So, make sure that if you decide to come and investigate, you're ready. Maybe you have a walking stick and you're wearing comfortable shoes, and everybody who's with you is ready to walk. Oh, look at all the little oyster mushrooms growing on this. Or not oyster mushrooms, but little mushrooms growing on here. That's super cool. Oh yeah, look at that. We're just right off the water here. This whole trail, super nice. We got all the forest to our left. Looks like this is a dried up tributary, small brook that would lead into the reservoir. And here's another example of white pine. This one appears to have fallen over, seen some better days, but still standing strong. Ah, I think this might be our location here. We got a beautiful little secluded beach. Wow, this is really, really nice. Looks like there's even a little side trail over to a rock over here. Let's see. That's not super passable. We're gonna skip that one for now. And I think this is going to be where we call our video. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I do hope very much that you enjoyed your time and that you get the opportunity to see the sights and joys for yourself. Have a great day.